All right. So now we're back in a better way here. So, DeepSeek. This was pretty interesting. There is a claim that DeepSeek did not actually, their Chinese AI did not actually train itself with such a cheap amount of processing. They claim they trained it with only $6 million, whereas Americans say training ours cost like $80 billion. And there's a claim that DeepSeek did something called distillation. And what they claim in their write-up about DeepSeek is that they trained it with interactive training with a human evaluating what they did. And that would mean humans would have to evaluate an enormous amount of queries and tell you whether it's good or bad, which sounds expensive. And the alternative is distillation, where essentially they connect it to somebody else's model and send their answers up to that model and ask that model, is this a good answer or not? Which sounds a whole lot more plausible than paying a bunch of humans to do it. And so another company said that is in fact standard in the business, and that's probably what they did. And it's generally accepted, although it violates the terms of service of some model, including OpenAI. And this guy, Lance Ulanoff, went on and tested it, and he was able to ask DeepSeek questions about what it was, and DeepSeek would answer by telling you that it was ChatGPT. He asked it, are you smarter than Gemini? And it says, well, the question is comparing me, which is ChatGPT, to Gemini. And here he is again, myself, ChatGPT. So that rather strongly suggests that they did train DeepSeek by asking interactive questions of ChatGPT, and therefore it's not really fair to say they trained it with just the cost of $6 million. Perhaps it's $6 million additional dollars after exploiting ChatGPT that already existed at the cost of $80 billion. So that may be true, and apparently that's standard in the industry. All right. So Apple is apparently given up on their augmented reality project. As you know, Meta changed the name of the company and bet a bunch of money on the metaverse, thinking everybody was going to ride a virtual train, and taking you to attend virtual conferences, pretending to sit around a Zoom table with strange little avatars that didn't have any legs. And then Microsoft even claimed that during the pandemic people would e-commute, and you would even simulate the joy of riding on the train to get to work in some kind of augmented reality thing. Everyone, for some reason, believed that everybody wanted this, and now they seem to be all giving up and admitting that nobody wants this. Now, when Google Glasses first came out, they had a demo video where they said you would wear glasses that looked just like normal glasses, that weren't heavy and bulky, and if you went to a party, you could meet somebody, and they'd look up at you and say hi and shake your hand. And while they're shaking your hand, the glasses would do facial recognition on them, and up in the corner would pop up, here's their name, here's their income, here's their job, here's their criminal record, and all that. So you would know all this stuff about everybody you met. And that would be kind of interesting, except for the privacy intrusion. That would be kind of useful, but that's not the actual product that became available to anybody. None of them actually did that stuff. And so, I must say, this is one case where Scott Galloway is right. Scott Galloway is a tech commentator, and he said all along that the whole idea that anybody's going to wear any goofy glasses like this is ridiculous because it makes you look stupid, it's big and heavy, it's not adding enough value to justify making you look stupid, which apparently is true. Anyway, all right. And so Microsoft has added something called a scareware blocker in Windows, apparently, which will work in Microsoft Edge, their browser, and will use AI to detect if you are being fooled by scareware, popping up something saying your machine is infected, your credit card has been compromised, or things like that. It sounds like it might be useful if it actually works. This has always been Microsoft's selling point. They've claimed for decades that their browser has more protection against social engineering than other browsers, although adding AI is a new feature. So it might be somewhat valuable, especially if it works. I know this is the case with all of my relatives. I had anybody older than me, my older generation, is just helpless on Windows. Boxes are constantly popping up asking incomprehensible questions. They're endlessly frustrated and need endless tech support. The only way I was ever able to actually talk to any of my extended family on any topic other than constantly fixing their computer was to get them all to buy Macs. A normal person can actually operate a Mac for years, but you've given the window within a month. Within a month, the Windows is messed up and infected with things, and they can't understand anything. Windows' user experience is so bad a normal human cannot operate it. And maybe this will help. Anyway, so it's become notorious ever since the pandemic, I guess getting on 5 years now, that the San Francisco police don't seem to do anything at all. You can call them and say someone is burgling my building right now, and they will just send some cop cars to watch people burgle the building and let them get away with it. And no, I haven't really understood why. It seems like they're just on strike and they don't do anything at all. Here they talk about how they've been understaffed and they had recruits, and almost all the recruits quit because their documentation is out of date, and their documentation sounds spectacularly bad. Their training materials date from decades ago and apparently are just sort of ruthless. Here they say a new subculture. Here's how pretty good. Your individuality will be submerged into them. They're to function effectively in your job. You must annihilate, smother, and suppress normal emotions like fear, anger, revulsion, and even compassion. So it's apparently the training is brutal and militaristic and drives people away. So perhaps that has something to do with the effect that the police don't seem to be doing anything about the crime in San Francisco, which has become a really big nationwide scandal. So Trump, Elon Musk apparently, because it really seems like Musk did it, seems like Trump didn't do it. When Elon Musk fired everybody at Twitter, he sent an email to everybody and said, you have like 1 day to click yes in this box, and if you don't click yes, you're fired. And he had just sent out a very similar email with whole phrases and the title of the email, a whole bunch of it just copied from Musk's email, to a huge amount of federal workers saying, you can have an opportunity now to resign within the next week. Just reply with the word resign to this email, which goes into Elon Musk's servers. And then all those people immediately resigned, and they promise you like severance pay through September. And as anybody should know by now about Elon Musk, he's like Donald Trump. He makes promises. He does things without checking that it's okay first. When he does things without actually preparing for them. So the people he fired from Twitter did not get their severance pay. They're suing to try to get it. He doesn't pay the bills of contractors, the rent for his building or anything else. Just like Donald Trump, he promises people money and then just doesn't pay them. So they say, don't take this resignation offer. You're probably not going to get that severance pay. And this has come out. It is in fact illegal in the federal government for anyone to make a commitment to pay more than 3 months in advance, apparently, something like that, without clearing it through some office. So there's, it does seem like they're just blithely promising people money. They don't actually have the right to demand them to resign, and they don't actually have the money they're promising to pay them. So that is what you would expect out of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and that seems to be what's happening here. A thing to be aware of. If you know anybody that works for the federal government, it is certainly a nerve-wracking time to work for the federal government with Trump in charge, and therefore everything just howling madness. Anyway, that's enough of the news. I'm going to stop this.